Local solutions, global impact. We are tired of these cycles, we're moving in circles. The change starts with us. The change starts with your pens and your papers. The change starts with your cameras and recorders. Local solutions, global impact. The change starts with us. Local solutions, global impact. It is within your mandate to keep the media intact. And in fact, you are guardians of every living narrative. So I will let you know that your stories are under attack. You need to wake up and fight back. Take control and don't let go. Stop leaving the TVs and the radios to celebrities and so-called media practitioners. Take your place. Stare evolution straight in the face and set the pace. Local solutions, global impact. I am tired of these cycles, you're moving in circles. The change starts with us. The change starts with your pens and your papers. The change starts with your cameras and recorders. Local solutions, global impact. The change starts with you. Period.
Okay, I need to remind you that it's my speech. Okay? What are you clapping for? You people didn't clap when she interrupted. Huh? And besides, Andrew, I helped you carry that guitar here because you told me you're my entertainment. And you're gonna come and cut my speech short? Nah, okay, let's make it democratic. We're in a democracy here. So let the audience choose. Would you rather hear my very empowered speech that I have been preparing for months, or would you rather hear her entertain you with the same content shorter? What would you rather? What? Ladies and gentlemen, the media has announced the results from the elections, and they have chosen Canaan Arinda! Woo! Yes, I'm excited. By the way, Angel, if I wanted to sing, I could sing.
Then sing.
My mama told me, boy, no, don't turn the news on. It's gonna get that depression back on. I'm tired of that same story. Show me everything wrong. Oh, but we're not here to sing, okay? If I wanted to sing, I would sing, right? Now, ladies and gentlemen, back to serious business. This is a thing that says serious speeches, huh? I remember when I had, and shout out to you, Madame Melody. I remember when I was in UCU, I just joined journalism school. Very excited. I knew I was going to change the world. And they taught us a bunch of things. Some of them I forgot. But the important ones, I remember. And they were teaching us the principles of journalism. The things that make us journalists. That make us stand out from these popular people that get a platform on TV or radio or in the newspapers. And say one of the principles is your story changes the world, so your story must come first. Whatever you do, make sure that story comes out. And that was important. But the danger of having something like that taken out of context is something that happened to a South African journalist years back. He was working for the New York Times and he was covering a story in Sudan about the war that was going on. He was a world famous photojournalist. And while he was on the ground, he sees a child starving, almost dying from the lack of food. And he had his camera out. But you know who else was watching at that time? a very hungry vulture that was looking at that child and thinking, there goes my food. And in that moment, that photojournalist had a very important decision to make. He had to choose whether he was going to be a journalist first and then a human being second, or if he was going to be a human being first and a journalist second. And he made that decision, what he thought was the right decision. And that decision got his photos all over museums. He became famous like that. But rather than celebrate the accolades that came with that and the recognition, you know what he did? Poor soul killed himself. He couldn't live with that guilt. That he had chosen to watch that bird swoop down and take that child so that he could have that photo at the Rose Museums. That's what happens when we fail. When we, what's the word that we use?
Solutions, global impact. We are tired of these cycles, we're moving in circles. The change starts with us. The change starts in your pens and your papers. The change starts with your cameras and recorders. Local solutions, global impact. The change starts with us. The change starts with asking the right questions. Questions like, are you journalists or political propagandists? Is that media? Is that news? Or is that advertisement? Is the headline tomorrow morning going to incite action? Is your documentary an ode to innovation? Are you in service of society, or are you looking for the next brown envelope? You call yourselves watchdogs, but from my side of the story, you watch parrots. You talk and talk and talk, but of what use is that to the common folk? I think you forget, so let me help you remember. Journalism is a service to society. Local solutions, global impact. I am tired of these cycles, you're moving in circles, but the change starts with us. The change starts with your pens and your papers. The change starts with your cameras and your recorders. Local solutions, global impact. The change starts with us.
You just made the room dance. Yo! If you didn't notice, the claps are getting less. We're shaking tables over here. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, fellow journalists in the building and media practitioners, there's a concept that I've been thinking about, and as I told you, I was preparing my speech for some time, and there were so many people that had options and opinions on what I should and should not include in the speech, and I was reminding them that I can do this. But one thing that I remember a lot of people bringing up was this aspect of narrative change. Because as Solutions Now Africa, one of the things that we pride ourselves in is we tell stories that change the narrative. Right? Yeah, that was my number one fun. My only fun in the building so far. Narrative change. What do we mean by narrative change? Have we really thought about that? Because the far that I can see, the far that we've seen as Solutions Now Africa is most times as media practitioners, and I'm speaking in general here, so please don't take offense unless the shoe fits. Most times we are, and I'm going to speak from an African perspective, we're good at saying what the media is not covering well. Like every time we're like, these guys come to our planet, to our continent, and they cover us badly. And we spend a lot of time complaining and complaining and complaining and grumbling and grumbling and grumbling and complaining and complaining and complaining. But the question is, what do we do about that? What do we do about that? How about you stop complaining and actually put some good news out there on your tellies or in your radio station?
MCI Radio for African Voices.